Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Deepak Wadhwa. Today we'll continue with our fourth lecture of agronomy till the third lecture. In first and second lecture, I told you about the classification of crops. And in the third lecture, we have studied about the crop rotation, cropping pattern, cropping system, and then we discuss about the crop rotation intensity and cropping intensity. Today will be the fourth lecture of agronomy where we will discuss about the type of cropping system. Yes, I told you what is cropping system in the previous chapter, but today we'll discuss about the type of cropping system. Like if you have studied it, it can be monocropping, it can be multiple cropping, and in case of multiple cropping, there are so many types of cropping system. So I'll be telling you about each and everything. So in this session, in this 1 hour, we'll be covering the cropping system, type of cropping system, and in the next lecture I will tell you about the type of various croppings. Now you will say, sir, what are the types of various crops? Like you have heard about it: arable crop, fouling crop, synergistic crop, erosion permitting crop, erosion restricting crop. So all that crop or all those part of type of cropping will be studied in the next lecture. Let's start with the type of cropping system today. So in case of cropping system, before I start with the type of cropping system, let me tell you what is the meaning of cropping system. And I hope you can remember my first lecture. In the very first lecture, I told you that be comfortable while watching my video and try to understand that I can give you my 100%, but for that 100%, I also need a good environment from your side. I gave you the example, like if you will sow the hybrid seed in the soil, hybrid seed has the potential to give you maximum production, but again it need better environment. If environment or climate is not suitable, that hybrid seed even it won't be able to grow. In the same way, I am that seed which can give you my 100%, but for that I need a perfect environment from your side. So just put your face in the wall side so that no one can disturb you, and try to put the earphone in your ears, and when I'm asking anything or I'm speaking anything, simply give me the nod by saying yes or no. Are you able to understand? Yes sir, yes, I'm getting your point. So you will feel a connection with me, and when we both have a connection, definitely you will understand everything. And I used to say to the Hindi medium people, you don't need to study, just go with the discussion only. By talking only, I can explain everything. But if you will consider this is study, so study always seems difficult. And if you'll feel like that we both are talking to each other, that will seems very easy to you, right? Can I start now? Perfect. So say yes or no. I just said you. I just told that you'll have to say yes or no. So can I start now? Yes sir, you can start. Okay, thank you so much. What is the meaning of cropping system? So before cropping system, what is the cropping pattern? Cropping pattern means the yearly sequence as well as the spatial arrangement. So how much space I am going to give to my crops in a season, and those arrangement in a year is known as cropping pattern. Now the relation of that cropping pattern. So here you can see I have a land which is divided into different crops. So the area assigned to different crops is known as cropping pattern. But in case of cropping system, if I will relate this cropping pattern with the blowing wind, or maybe with the rainfall, with the sunlight, with the soil, with the irrigation water. So if I am relating this cropping pattern with the available resources or with the management, that is known as cropping system. So cropping system, we can say cropping pattern plus interrelation of crop and environment. So interrelation of crop and environment along with the cropping pattern is known as cropping system. So cropping system is cropping pattern plus management, cropping pattern plus resources, or you can say the interrelationship of the particular crop with the resources is known as cropping system. Are you clear about it? Okay. Now let's say if I don't have sufficient resources, like I'm in Punjab right now, but I'm basically from Sri Ganganagar, Rajasthan. So if I will say in Rajasthan we have a lot of problem related to irrigation. So if I don't have the irrigation water, if I'm not having irrigation water, if I'm not having sufficient irrigation water, so what will happen? Sir, if you don't have sufficient irrigation, so simply sir tell us, do you have rainfall by southwest monsoon? Yes, I used used to receive rainfall by southwest monsoon. So sir, do one thing, simply grow kharif crops and leave the remaining season because you don't have irrigation water. So you suggested me to take only one crop in a year. And why are you suggesting me to take the one crop in a year? Because of limited resources, because I don't have irrigation water. And if I don't have irrigation water, so what should I do? Yes, you guys are absolutely right, I should go with the one crop only. And if I am growing only one crop in a year, that is known as monocropping. That is known as monocropping. Sir, monocropping and monoculture are same? Of course no. Monocropping and monoculture are totally different. So like I said, if I am growing only bajra, if I am growing only gram, or if I am only growing cotton, or say whatever you want, if I am growing only one crop in a year, what I am doing guys, one crop in a year, only one crop in a year, if it is grown in the farm, it will be known as monocropping. And again, if I am growing, let's say in case of kharif I am growing rice, in case of rabi I am growing rice, or in jayad also rice, or you can say rice and rice, that is sufficient, है ना? So if what we are doing, if we are growing rice, and rice, now rice and rice will be known as monoculture because I am growing a single crop in a year. So if it is rice and rice, it will be known as monoculture. And if it is only one crop, that one crop can be any crop. If one crop is grown in a year, it is known as monocropping. If we are growing the same crop in different season, that will be known as monoculture. I hope now you guys are clear what is the difference between monoculture and monocropping. Okay sir, we are clear, but again let us know what is the meaning of polyculture then. Obviously polyculture means when you are growing two or more crop, then it will be known as polyculture. So sir, we studied somewhere that growing of two or more crop in a year is known as multiple cropping. Absolutely, in case of agronomy, instead of saying polyculture, we call it multiple cropping. But in case if you'll go with the fisheries, and if you are rearing more than 2 fish species in the pond, it will be considered as polyculture. I hope now you are clear about monoculture, monocropping and polyculture. And next one is multiple cropping. So if I was growing only one crop, that is monocropping. If one crop is repeated in all the season, that is monoculture. But if I have sufficient resource, like I said, I am from Sriganganagar, Rajasthan, and now I shifted to Punjab. So you guys know that Punjab is the state which has highest irrigation. If it has highest irrigation coverage, so now I have irrigation in Kharif as well as Rabi season. So what should I do? Should I grow only one crop? No sir, now you have sufficient resources. So sir, try to grow 2 to 3 crops in a year. Or if you want to grow more than 3 crops, so sir, you can go with the intercrop. Yes, right. So I have sufficient crop, I can grow 2 or more crops in a year. So if we are growing 2 or more crops in a year, it is known as multiple cropping. Guys, it is known as, yes, that's absolutely right, it is known as multiple cropping. And the third one says fallow or fallowing in rotation. So if I will say out of the 4 year, like when I was telling you monocropping, I was taking only one crop in the field. Now I'm telling you after 4 years that in these 4 years, I was only able to grow 3 crops. Now you will ask me again, sir, you said you are growing only one crop in a year. If it is one crop in a year, so there should be 4 crop in 4 years. So why is there are 3 crops? Because land fertility, the fertility of the land is quite less in my area. Just an example. So if it is less, that means I cannot grow crop every year. So what I did, I kept 1 year without crop. So I kept 1 year as a fallow in rotation. So that system where we used to leave a season or leave a year, it is known as fallow or fallowing. So a season means when we are cultivating crops in Kharif as well as Rabi, but we are keeping the land vacant in the Jai season, that is known as fallow or fallowing. And if we are cultivating first, second, third year, and then we are leaving a year in between, it is known as fallow or fallowing. So I hope now we are clear about the 3. These are the 3 types of cropping system. So that's it sir, topic is completed. No. In case of multiple cropping, there are several type of multiple cropping as well. So let's start with the monocropping first. Monocropping, people are involved in the monocropping because of limited resources. But again, another problem can be there. If it is my specialization, like if you people know, in our area, when we heard a name, when we are hearing a name, and the name has Sony itself. Sony means, suppose my name, actually my name is Deepak Wadhwa. But if I say my name is Deepak Sony, Sony is surname. So in our area, whenever we are hearing this surname, so what we do, we ask them, are you a jeweler? So why we are asking them jeweler? Because people with the surname Sony are in the same business all the time. I have seen, I know 3 person with the surname Sony, and all these 3 person are jewelers. So it's their traditional business. So from their tradition, they are doing this business only. So this is why when we heard this name, so we ask them, what's your profession? They will say jewelers. Okay, perfect. That means Sony, surname Sony, that means they are jewelers. In case if a farmer has specialization in one crop and they are growing that single crop from last 10, 20, 30, 40 years, so they will grow one crop in a year. In case if they have limited resources, they will grow one crop in a year. And if the road is situated near the canal, if the field is situated near the canal, so that means from canal water will come outside by the act of seepage. Do you know what is seepage? Horizontal movement of water. If the water is coming, so suppose here it is a canal which is going from my field, है ना? So just an example, here your field are located and in this side my fields are located. Now water is going there. So water is going there. If water will go downward into the soil, that is known as infiltration, percolation or leaching. But if water, not vertical, I'm talking about horizontal. If water is coming out horizontally from the field, from the canal to my field, that horizontal movement will be known as seepage. Not clear? Okay, simply talk about your water tank. If your water tank is made with the cement and bricks, so you will see some leakages there in the water tank. So that water is coming outside of the tank, that movement is known as seepage. And if it is going downward in the soil, it is known as infiltration, leaching or percolation. I will explain these terms later, but right now just understand, it's not a vertical movement. Seepage is a horizontal movement. If water is moving horizontally from one to another place, it is known as seepage. So due to seepage, waterlogging condition can be there in my field. So if it is waterlogged condition, that means I can only grow rice or call it paddy in my field. So I am growing only one crop due to any reason, my personal preferences, my specialization, limited resources, or maybe waterlogging problem or something else. But the main concept is I am growing only one crop in a year. It will be known as monocropping. That's it, nothing else. Are you clear about monocropping? So let's move to the multiple cropping. I told you about the monoculture, है ना? People in Kerala, in West Bengal and somewhere in Uttarakhand, but mainly in West Bengal and Kerala, they are growing rice and rice. Rice is majorly a kharif crop, but they are growing rice in Rabi also. Now the doubt arises in our mind, sir, why they are growing rice in Rabi also? Because there somewhere in the Kerala and West Bengal, soils are waterlogged soil, or you can call them marshy soil. So they have marshy soil. Marshy soil means every time there is waterlogging, है ना? So when water is stagnant on the soil, it is known as waterlogging. So if it is waterlogging in kharif, they will grow rice. But if there is waterlogging in rabi also, so no crop we can grow in the waterlogged condition, but only rice can be there. So this is why they are growing rice in kharif, rice in rabi. So if they are repeating the same crop, it is monoculture. But if they are growing only one crop, it will be monocropping. Let's move to multiple cropping. Multiple cropping means I have sufficient resources, I want to use my land, I want to use my time, and I want to increase the cropping intensity. You remember the concept of cropping intensity I explained in the last session. So in case of cropping intensity, when we will be cultivating more area, when we are cultivating more area, that means cropping intensity will be more. So if I want to increase the cropping intensity, so instead of growing one crop in a year, I will try to grow more than one crop. That more than one can be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever it is. But if you are growing more than one crop in an area, it is known as it is known as multiple cropping. More than one crop in an area in 1 year. Yes, in 1 year, if it is one crop, it is monocropping. In 1 year, if it is more than one crop, it is known as multiple cropping. Like here you can see, it says sorghum, wheat, green gram, wheat, black gram, linseed, whatever it is, yeah. We need more than one crop. Now, if I will ask you, write your answer in the chat section. What's my question to you is, in your area, what you have observed? Is it monocropping or multiple cropping? Now, you will say 80 to 90% comments will say multiple cropping. Yes, obviously, farmers want to grow more crops. Farmers want to earn more. This is why they are growing more. So almost all the area has multiple cropping, but there are few areas which has specialization or which has less resources. So they are growing one crop in a year, that is known as monocropping. Okay, let's move forward. Now the main point is about the type of multiple cropping, because mono and multiple is quite easy. Growing of one crop is monocropping. Growing of more than one crop in a year is multiple cropping. That's it. Over. But what are the various type of multiple cropping? So before I tell you about the multiple cropping, just do remember one statement, that if you have more than one crop in a year, so if you have more than one crop in a year, it will be known as multiple cropping. Now, more than one means it can be 2, it can be 3, it can be 4, or maybe it can be more than 4. But it cannot be less than 2. Why? Because more than 1 means 2, at least 2 should be there. If I am growing 2 crop in 1 year, so what are the method I have? If I want to grow 2 crop in 1 year, so first method I have, I can grow 1 crop in the Kharif, and 1 crop can be grown in the Rabi season. So if it was 1 in the Kharif, 1 in the Rabi, 1 in the next, 1 in the next, 1 in the next, if we are growing crop one by one, it is known as sequential cropping. Sir, why it is sequential? Because we are growing in a sequence. After 1 second, so suppose if you want to ask me doubts, I said you cannot ask doubt all at the time, but yeah, start with the student number A. So A said, sir, this is my doubt. Okay, I said A doubt is over, now come to B. B is over, now come to C. So what I am doing, I am answering your doubts in a sequence. In the same way, we are growing crop in the sequence. First 1 crop, then 2nd crop, then 3rd crop, then 4th crop. So that's what we are doing. We are raising the crop one by one. It is known as sequential cropping. My initial statement was, if I want to grow 2 crops in a year, if I want to grow 2 crops in a year, so what I will do, I can grow 1 at one time and 2nd at 2nd time. So 1 by 1 means it is sequential cropping. But in case if I am growing 1 crop was there in the row, and you guys suggested me, sir, now you are in Punjab, you have sufficient resources, you can take 1 more crop in row to row distance. So now you will see that I have 2 crops at a time, not in 1 by 1. I have 2 crops at a time. So I will call them parallel multiple cropping. This was sequential multiple cropping because it was 1 by 1, but this has 2 crops at a time. So this will be considered as parallel multiple cropping because we have 2 crop alongside in parallel condition. So that's parallel multiple cropping, and that one is sequential multiple cropping. Just type a lovely Y if you are clear about it. What? If you are clear about the multiple cropping, multiple means growing of more than 1, and in multiple cropping we can grow more than 1 at a time, then it will be parallel cropping. If we are growing 1 by 1, that will be sequential cropping. Clear to everyone? Perfect. Thank you so much. Okay, now let's come to sequential cropping first. So I will explain the 3 parts of sequential cropping. Next I will explain about the parallel multiple cropping. So guys, in case of sequential cropping, what will happen in sequential cropping? We will grow crop 1 by 1. So if I am growing crop 1 by 1, so suppose if I have taken 1 crop in Kharif and 1 crop in Rabi, and Jayad I kept fallow, so only 2 crops was there. If I have grown 1 crop in Kharif, 1 in Rabi, 1 in Jayad, so I have 3 crop in a year, and also I can grow 4 crops in a year. So if you will grow crop 1 by 1, how you can grow 4 crops in a year, because there are only 3 seasons in a year? Yes, Kharif, Rabi and Jayad. So sir, how can you grow 4 crops? How can I grow 4 crops? I can grow short duration crop. Right now, people are preferring to grow short duration crop. So if it was short duration in the Kharif and I'm growing a late sowing variety, which is also short duration in Rabi, so I'll be having sufficient time between two seasons. So if I have sufficient time between two seasons, I can take a short duration crop in between. So in this way, I can take 4 crop. Otherwise, 3 are quite common: Kharif, Rabi and Zaid. So what are the various type of the sequential cropping? In sequential cropping, we have 3 types. One is double cropping, triple cropping, quadruple cropping. Sir, why not monocropping? I hope you guys can remember monocropping cannot be the part of multiple cropping. Monocropping was different, multiple cropping is different, and right now we are talking about the multiple cropping. In multiple cropping, we have sequential cropping. In sequential cropping, we have double, triple and quadruple cropping. So it's very simple. If we are growing 1 crop and then in next season 1 crop, so total 2 crops are there. If we have grown 2 crops in a year, it is known as double cropping. If we have grown 3 crops in a year, it is known as triple cropping. And if by reducing the duration of the crop and by using short duration variety, if we are able to grow 4 crops in a year, that will be known as quadruple cropping. But please make sure we are growing one by one. This is why it is sequential cropping. In double it is 2, in triple it is 3, and in case of quadruple it is 4. It is sequential cropping. But by sequence, we are growing more than 1 crop in a year. If we are growing more than 1 crop in a year, that means it is, yes, tell me, talk to me, yaar. We are not in study and all. Talk to me. Yes, it is known as multiple cropping. That's it. Now you are clear about multiple cropping, sequential cropping, double, triple and quadruple cropping. Now let's move to the important part of multiple cropping. Now the another important part of the multiple cropping is parallel cropping. Important part of multiple cropping is parallel cropping. So guys, what is parallel cropping? So talking about parallel cropping, guys, yes. So talking about parallel cropping, parallel means when something is going on parallel. So suppose I will give an example. What I used to do, I'm recording this class right now. So after this recording, we'll proceed with the editing, and after editing, you will be listening this class. Like you people are listening it at right now. So that what is happening? First, I have recorded the class, and then you are listening the class. So this is something which is happening in the sequence, not simultaneously, not at the same time. It is happening by different way. First, I am recording, then editing, and then you guys are listening it. And in case if I will say I will take the next class live, even I can take the live session, but in case of English medium, we have comparatively less audience. This is why I prefer to give them a recorded mode. But if you people want me live, I can give you the live session also, but for that I need your support. If you are from English medium and listening this video right now, share this link in your groups, in your status, and if I'll be getting the sufficient views, because I am focused more on bilingual, less on English medium. Reason is views. So it's not all about views. I want to give the benefit of this teaching to maximum people. So if it has more views, that means I am beneficial. I'm a person who can be the reason of a smile after selection on someone's face. So this is why I want more audience. So if you will post in the group or status, so if I'll be having more audience, so I can give you more lecture and I can go with your demand also, recorded or live. Let's come back to the point. I said in case of parallel multiple cropping, I was talking about the parallel concept. So I said first I am recording and then you are listening it. So this is not parallel. This is in sequence. First sequence was recording, second sequence was watching. And in another case, if I said I will take the next class as live. So if I will take the next class as live, so that means we will be simultaneously in front of each other. We will be doing it parallelly. I'll be speaking here and you will be listening there. So that live will be something which is parallel. So when we two are together, that is parallel. And when I am recording and after that you are watching, that is something which is sequence. So now next class will be live. Just take an example. If it will be live, so you and me and you will be in front of each other. So that will be something where we can call parallel. So now in this cropping, now in the part of multiple cropping, in parallel multiple cropping, all these crop will be grown at a time in the same field. So first of all, it says mixed cropping. What is the meaning of mixed cropping? So just take an example. Take an example of mustard and barseem. So why mustard and barseem? Because in case of mustard and barseem is a fodder crop. and mustard is a oilseed crop. But what I did, I am growing barseem for the fodder purpose. So what I did, in the seed of the barseem, I mixed the seed of the mustard also. After mixing of the barseem and wheat, now I am doing broadcasting. Broadcasting is a method of sowing. So like this, I took the seed and I am just broadcasting it on the field. I am broadcasting the seed in the mixed form. These mixed seeds are from barseem and mustard. So now when the crop will grow, I will harvest both crop at a time, because right now in this example, mustard will not be a oil seed crop. Here mustard will also become a fodder crop, which will augment, which will increase the fodder production, which will supplement the fodder production. So when I am mixing the seed and growing them without any row to row distance, but two crops are growing at a time, it is known as mixed cropping. Tell me guys, it is known as mixed cropping. So mixed cropping means when we are growing two crops at a time, but there is no specific row to row distance, because row to row distance will be maintained in row intercropping. But right now we are talking about the mixed cropping. Mixed cropping means two crops are there, we have mixed the seed, and after that broadcasting has been done. So there is no row to row, plant to plant specific arrangement. This is known as mixed cropping. Are you guys clear about it? Okay, perfect. If you are clear about it, next we'll move to the relay crop. Before moving towards the relay crop, I would like to tell you about the relay race. Have you ever seen this relay race? Yes sir, we have seen. If you haven't seen, okay, perfect, I will show you how relay race is working. So I have a video of relay race, but what I will do, instead of showing this relay race video, I'll keep it like this only, because the one who will be editing this video, he will add the video of relay race. So like you can see in the screen right now, relay race is going on. In relay race, what they used to do, before they stop, they used to hand over that torch, sprint, mashal, whatever you want to say. Before they stop, they used to hand over that sprint to the another candidate, and another candidate is running, and before the another will stop, he will hand over to the another. This is known as relay race. From relay race, we have taken a concept, it is relay cropping. So like in the relay race, before stopping the one, he handed over to the another person. In the same way, in case of relay cropping, so guys, in case of relay cropping, what we people are doing, in case of relay cropping, what we will do, in case of relay cropping, we will grow the crop. So suppose if paddy is there in my field, right? Paddy is there in my field. So if paddy is there, now paddy is about to get mature. We are about to harvest the paddy after 15 to 30 days. So what I will do, instead of waiting for the harvesting of rice, I will simply sow the seed of the next crop by broadcasting method. So crop was there in the field, but before the harvesting, I have done with the sowing of next crop. Like in relay race, before I stop, I handed over to the next candidate. Now before harvesting, we have done with the sowing of next crop. Now at this time, two crops will be there in the field simultaneously. At the same time, two crops are there in the field. Now this will be known as relay cropping. So sir, why you call it parallel cropping? Because two crops are there at a time, right? So two crops are there at a time, that is known as parallel cropping. And in parallel, before harvesting, if we have done the sowing of the next crop, it is known as relay cropping. Relay cropping is also known as overlapping cropping, because now the next crop is overlapping the previous crop, right? So this is why it is known as overlapping cropping. This is also known as para and utera cropping. In Bihar and Jharkhand, they are calling it para. In case of Madhya Pradesh, they are calling it utera. So they will not ask you from where they are saying what word or which word, but simply remember it. Relay cropping, overlapping cropping, para cropping or utera cropping are related to relay cropping. That's it. Clear? Okay. We are talking about, or we are discussing about the multiple cropping. In multiple cropping, we are discussing about the parallel multiple cropping, and in parallel, we have discussed about mixed cropping and relay cropping. Now next we'll move to the LA cropping. Guys, do you know what is LA cropping? Yes sir. So before I move to LA cropping, let me tell you the meaning of LA. What is the meaning of LA, sir? In case of LA, this is wider space. If you'll simply search on Google LA space in housing or LA space in an area, so you will see it will start showing the street of a colony. So in the street of a colony, you will see sufficient area is there. That sufficient area, that wider space is known as LA ways. They are LA space, LA ways. And suppose if I am growing tree, if I'll say I am growing crops, so in case of crops, I will have less space from row to row. But if I am growing tree, that means I will have sufficient space from one row of tree to the another row of tree. Now I have wider space in between the rows of tree. Now this wider space is technically known as LA, and if I am growing any crop in between these crops, in between the wider rows, so I am growing crops in the LA ways. This is why crops grown in between the rows of the tree are known as LA crop. Crops grown in between the rows of tree are known as LA crop. Are you clear about LA crop? See how easy it is. Everything is easy. We just need to discuss. We just need to talk to each other. We don't need to study a lot. We don't need to hard work. Simply have an interest in the study and everything will be clear. Okay, let's come back to the point. So LA cropping means if I am growing crops in between the rows of tree, it is known as LA cropping. It is known as LA cropping. Okay, after LA cropping, what we have next is multi-storied cropping. Multi-storied cropping, it's a part of parallel multiple cropping. In case of multi-storied cropping, what is the meaning of multi-story? So if I will ask you what kind of house you have, you will say, sir, I have single story house, but I am working hard for my selection, and sir, I will show you, I will make a multi-story house for my parents. Yes, you should do that because your father or your mother has or have done a lot for us. So if they have done a lot for us, now it's the turn to return them something, whatever we can for them, right? So it's a high time, if your house is single story, make it double story by your hard work, by your selection. So study hard for it. Now, what's the meaning of single and multiple story? Single and multi-story means if only one floor is there, it's a single story. If multiple floors are there, it's a multi-story. Like, है ना? So, in case of me, right now I'm recording this video in my studio, which is situated on the third floor of my house. So, this is kind of multi-story. And if I will say I'm recording, this has only one floor, so that will be single story. So, what's the difference of single and multi-story? Difference is in the height. Single story, okay, just take the example of this presentation only. So, single story means this one is single story, right? This is double story, triple story, this is quadruple story. So it has the different of heights. So when we are growing the crop of different height, that is known as multi-storied cropping. That is known as multi-storied cropping. Crops of different heights. So what kind of crop we can have? So suppose if you have grown sugarcane in your field. Now whatever crop you want to take in the sugarcane, in sugarcane you can take potato because it will give the synergistic effect. If you are growing sugarcane and potato alone in the pure stand, it will give less production. But in case if potato and sugarcane are grown together, it will give more production than the sole crop. I will explain this concept in the next class because this is known as synergistic cropping. So I will tell in the next class. But right now simply say if you have grown potato and sugarcane has different height, potato has different height. So different height of crop means it is multi-storied cropping. So if you are from southern part of India, so you have so many plantation tree, like you people are growing coconut, you people are growing areca nut, so many plantation crop are there. So if along with those plantation crop or along with those tall trees you have grown a small or dwarf high tree, so that will be multi-story cropping, multi-storied cropping. Now before I proceed ahead, I need example from your side. Stop this video or pause this video right now and tell me in the chat section, not in the live chat, in the comment section, because I want to read that comment. I want to see that people are attending my class and they are aware. Now tell me what kind of multi-storied cropping you have seen in your area. I want to know about it. Sir, why do you want to know? I want to know how much you are interested about the study and how much you are just checking it in the practical basis. So just go outside if you don't know the answer, and if you know the answer, so write in the comment section that what kind of tall crop is there in the field, what kind of plant are there or what kind of trees are there, and along with the trees if there are crop. And if you are not able to find the example of multi-story crop, that means you people are not doing it. And if people are not doing it, so they are doing intercropping. If still not find the example, so they are involved in the sequential cropping. So now in the end, in the last, we have intercropping. I will explain it further, but before that you can focus on this table or in this sequence based table or categorization. First we have multiple cropping, means growing of two crop. Then in multiple cropping we have parallel cropping and sequential cropping. In sequential we have double, triple and quadruple cropping. In parallel, when we are growing crops together, so we have mixed cropping, relay cropping, alley cropping or multiple cropping. Also we have intercropping. I will explain it, but apart from intercropping, I hope you are clear about all the concept. If you still facing any doubt, so please make sure I have added the explanation of each and every point here as well. I have already shared this PPT on my Telegram channel, which is Agri Coaching Chandigarh, and we have also completed the quiz of this part. So simply follow my my Telegram channel, Agri Coaching Chandigarh. So you will see the quiz related to fourth lecture, because this is fourth lecture, and when I am recording it, we have given the quiz of fifth lecture also on the Telegram channel, because in bilingual mode we have already delivered the fifth lecture. But don't worry, the quiz which we have delivered for the fourth lecture is already there. So attempt that quiz, and I have shared the PDF of this, which is already there. So see the PDF, read the PDF, attempt the quiz, you will clear about everything. So I told you about the parallel cropping. I have told you about the parallel cropping. When we are growing two crops simultaneously, that is parallel cropping. In parallel, we have mixed cropping, when we are mixing the seed and broadcasting it. One is mixed cropping, but the another concept is mixed farming. Now, mixed farming is not the part of this topic. Mixed farming is not the part of cropping system, but you will get confused. This is why I have added it here. Mixed cropping means mixing of two seed and growing it on the same place. But mixed farming is something different. Mixed farming means when I am cultivating crops in my field and I also have animal. I am cultivating one crop in the field and I also have animal in my field. So what I am doing, I am raising, or I am going with the two enterprise at a time. So when farmers are involved in two or more than two enterprise at a time, it is known as mixed farming. So mixed farming is about different occupation. It can be fisheries, it can be poultry, it can be animal husbandry, it can be something else along with the crops. So along with the crops, if they have any other enterprise, any other occupation, that is mixed farming. Or otherwise, in case of mixed cropping, that means when we are mixing the seed of two crops and broadcasting it on the land, that is known as mixed cropping. Is it clear to everyone? Every one of you, just type a lovely Y if you know the difference between monocropping, multiple cropping, mixed farming. So let's move forward. We have started with the parallel cropping. In parallel, we have mixed cropping. Then mixed farming is different concept, but you are clear about it. Then we have studied about the intercropping. Sir, you haven't told us about the intercropping. Okay, I will explain intercropping. In case of mixed cropping, actually mixed cropping is also considered as mixed intercropping. Yes, this is right. Mixed cropping is considered as mixed intercropping. Sir, how it is mixed intercropping? Okay, first of all, let me tell you what is the meaning of intercropping. Then I will talk about the mixed intercropping. So, if we talk about the intercropping means growing of two or more than two crops on a piece of land in the same area at the same time is known as it is known as intercropping. So like definition says, growing of two or more crops simultaneously on the same field. Growing of two or more than two crops simultaneously on the same field. So if I have one crop along with the another crop on the same time on the same field, it is known as intercrop. Now, in case of intercrop, we are growing two or more than two crops. So that was what exactly happening in mixed cropping also. In mixed cropping, I mix the seed in between, and after mixing the seed, I done the broadcasting. Now you will say, sir, if you have done the broadcasting, so sir, what is the difference between row to row distance and middle? Sir, I'm getting confused. I will make you clear. First of all, just simply say, just forget everything and simply say yes to my statement, which is my statement: growing of two or more crops same time in the same field is known as intercropping. Say yes, this is clear. Okay, if it is clear, now let's talk about the type of intercropping. In case of type of intercropping, we have mixed cropping, row intercropping, strip cropping, and we have relay cropping. So these are the type of intercropping, and here you can see type is known as mixed intercropping. But you said, sir, there is no row to row arrangement in the mixed cropping. Yes, of course, because row to row arrangement will happen in the row intercropping. So let's talk about the 4 type. When we will mix the seed of 2 crops and we done the broadcasting, that is known as mixed cropping. And if I am growing 2 crops in the row to row, so suppose I have mustard in my field, these are the plant of mustard, and in between the plant of mustard I cultivated wheat crops. So mustard and wheat are there. Now 2 crops with the row to row distance are there. It is known as row intercropping. But if you are listening to me carefully, so in the mixed cropping we had 2 crops, in row intercropping we had 2 crops. So what we are doing, we are growing 2 crops at the same time without arrangement. It is mixed intercropping. If it has row to row arrangement or distinct arrangement, it is known as row intercropping. Next one is strip intercropping. I will explain it. Let's come to the relay intercropping first, because I have already explained it. Relay intercropping means before the harvesting of the next crop. Before the harvesting of the next crop, we have sown the preceding crop, not next crop actually, before the harvest of the existing crop. Before the harvesting of current crop, I have done the sowing of next crop. Now again 2 crops are there on the same time in the field. Now instead of relay cropping, you can call it relay intercropping. So sir, relay cropping and relay intercropping are different. Mixed cropping and mixed intercropping are different. Of course, no, these are same, right? So relay cropping or call it relay intercropping. So in this way, sir, I can call it LA intercropping. Absolutely right. Instead of LA cropping, you can call it LA intercropping, because again there are 2 crops at the same time in the field. But instead of calling it intercropping, you will have to say LA intercropping, because trees are there, along with the tree crop is there. So that will be known as LA intercropping. So we can say LA intercropping is the part of intercropping, right? Okay, now the last remaining one is strip intercropping. So instead of explaining it, I will show you in the video. So here on the screen you can see what is the meaning of strip cropping where there is a slope. So instead of growing the crops in the row, we used to grow the crops in the strips. So when we are growing the crops in the strips, so in this scenario, this is considered as strip cropping. Strip cropping is not there in the plain area. Strip cropping is there where we have slope 6 to 9%. If slope percentage is 6 to 9%, so we are cultivating the crops in the strip form. So instead of row, why you prefer strip? Just to reduce the erosion of the soil, just to reduce the movement of soil, because if water will move slowly, so soil will have more infiltration. If it is moving fast, infiltration will be less and erosion will be more. So this is why the area which are having 6 to 9% slope, we are cultivating crop in the strip form, and in strip cropping we are cultivating 2 or more than 2 crops simultaneously in the strips only. So that is known as strip intercropping. Now do one thing, attempt the quiz in the Telegram. You will have more clarity about it. So it was strip cropping. So I hope you are clear about the strip cropping, but if still you have doubt, I will show you how strip cropping is working in the area. So see guys, what I am doing, I simply wrote here strip crop. So in strip crop you will see it is not showing any row to row arrangement. It is showing different strips are there. Different strips, and even it is not straight. Why? Because this has slope. So according to slope we are maintaining that strip. So here this is one crop, this one is another crop. So 2 crops are there at the same time. It is intercropping, and if they are in the strip, so this is known as strip intercropping. I hope now it is clear to all of you what is the meaning of mixed intercropping, what is row intercropping, what is relay intercropping, and already told you about the race. This race is relay race. So before she stops, she will hand over the toss to the next candidate. So from that relay race, we have taken the concept of relay cropping. Strip cropping, I just shown you how strip cropping is working in the field. Then I have explained you about the relay cropping, about the LA cropping, about the multi-story cropping, and next one is synergistic cropping. Now what is synergistic cropping? Are we clear till that point? Yes, I'm not skipping anything. I have explained everything in the very first slide. Now the detail is given for your revision only. When you will revise with this PDF after watching this class and you will attempt the quiz, I can give you a surety you will be 100% clear about all the concepts. So simply after listening this, read the PDF and attempt the quiz. Quiz is compulsory, because when you are listening to a concept it is okay, but after reading to answer it is a different experience. So must attempt the question of the based on the fourth lecture. Now next one is synergistic or synergetic cropping. Synergetic cropping means which will give the synergistic effect. Actually this is the part of cropping, है ना? So in case of synergistic, suppose if I have two field, in one field I am growing sugar cane and in second field I am growing potato. So in one field I have sugar cane, in one field I have potato. That means I have alone pure, or you can say single stand of the crop. One is sugar cane, in other field other is potato. Now suppose example, take an example. This was giving me 10 unit of production and this was giving me 10 unit of production. Now instead of growing them on the different area, what I did, I have grown sugar cane plus potato in the same area, and I had 11, or you can say 10 unit of production of sugar cane and 11 unit of production of potato. So my potato and sugar cane was giving me 10, but when I grown them together, one is giving me 10, another is giving me 11. So their production is getting increased. When instead of growing them, we are growing them at the same time. This effect of cropping is known as synergetic cropping. So the yield of both crop are higher than of their pure crop on the unit area basis. It is called synergetic cropping. Example is sugar cane and potato, and there can be some other crops also. Okay, that's it. Now the last point about this lecture is about additive and replacement series of the intercropping. So additive and replacement series is what? So before going towards the additive and replacement series, we should know about a concept. It is LER. Have you heard about it? It is land equivalent ratio. Sir, what is it? I will explain it. Just tell me by saying yes or no. If I have 1 acre, I am growing A crop, I am growing B crop, it is giving me 10 quintal production, B is giving me 10 quintal production. Now instead of 1 and 1 acre, on the 2 acre, I have done the intercropping of A and B. So A has given me 10 quintal, B has given me 9 quintal. Should I do this kind of cropping? Obviously no. I was having 20 quintal of production, but in the 2 acre of area, combinedly when I have grown these two crops, so this has competitive effect. So when it has competitive effect, instead of 10 it is giving me 9 quintal, so my production is getting reduced. So I should not go with this concept. Or if I will say that instead of 10 now I have 12 quintal of production, 10 was there in the alone stand, but in intercropping I have 10 and 12. So you will say definitely sir, this is beneficial, you should go with this. So now we can calculate the benefit. We can calculate the benefit of the intercropping by using this concept which is known as land equivalent ratio. So if the land equivalent ratio can be in the 3 form, it can be equal to 1, it can be more than 1, or it can be less than 1. If the LER is equal to 1, that means no loss or no profit will be there. है ना? No loss or no profit will be there. In case if the land equivalent ratio is less than 1, it will create a loss in the farming. And if the land equivalent ratio is more than 1, it will be profitable. So now if I will ask you what condition you will follow if you want to go with the intercropping, you will say second condition sir, I want LER more than 1 because more than 1 will give me profit. Okay. Now what is LER? It is about the land use. In intercropping, if we are using the land, so is it profitable for us or not? So how we can calculate the LER? Before we proceed with the LER, now we should know about the additive and replacement series. It is nothing, yaar. It's very simple because it says add, it says replacement. Sometime I'm watching video on the agronomy, watching video on the YouTube, and I see they took almost 2 hours or they took 1 hour to explain this concept. And this is the reason why we people feel difficulty. Now youngster want everything within minimum time, because when they are watching this video they have a lot to do. They are thinking about the serial, they are thinking about that web series, they are thinking about that movie, so they have limited time. They want to use their time in the various activity. So this is hardly a single minute of concept. So how it is a single minute of concept? So I will tell you about additive and replacement series. So here simply see, here this is a crop, है ना? I have added this manually, so I cannot add the crop on the slide, but simply calculate 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 9 rows of wheat crop is there. 9 rows of wheat crop is there. Can we call it intercropping? Obviously no, only single crop is there. This cannot be known as intercropping. Now what I have did, see the next image. I have introduced mustard in between the row of the wheat. Mustard in between the row of the wheat. Now please calculate the number of rows of wheat. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Oh sir, it is still same. Yes, it is still same. In the 9 rows of the wheat I have added different 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 rows of mustard. This is something which is known as additive series. I have added the plant. Nothing has been replaced. Whatever it was there in the field, it is there in the field, but I have added crop in between the rows of the wheat. So what I have did, I simply did the addition of the plant. This is known as additive series. This is known as additive series. Now, if I don't want to go with the additive series, now I did this. Now you will calculate 1 2 3 4 5. Oh, only 5. Where are the 4? 1 2 3 4. Now those 4 rows are replaced by 4 rows of wheat are replaced by the mustard crop. This is replacement series. This is additive series. This is the single stand of the crop. In single stand, when you are growing second crop, it is known as intercropping. So when you have added the second crop, it is additive series, and when we have replaced it, it is known as replacement series. Now tell me, which one will be more beneficial to you? Which one will give you more profit? Is it additive series or is it replacement series? Tell me, which one will be more profitable? Which will give me more production? Which will give me more money? Additive or replacement? Absolutely, you are right. You are getting it properly. That means it will be additive series, because in replacement, again, number of 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 9 rows are there. So there is no use of doing this. So instead of proceeding with the replacement series, we'll go with the additive series. But still, we'll have to clarify it. How, sir? How can you say that additive will give benefit? Because additive series can also have the competitive effect. When competitive effect is there, it will reduce the production of another crop. So let's calculate the LER. LER means land equivalent ratio, and the formula of LER is yield of intercrop or yield of sole crop. Yield of intercrop and yield of sole crop. So if the yield of intercrop is divided by the yield of sole crop, it is known as LER. Now how to calculate it? Simply take an example. Wheat and mustard, है ना? So in case of wheat and mustard, I have a field in my hometown. So in the hometown, we people are growing wheat and mustard in the Rabi season. So in case of wheat, it is almost giving us 45 to 50 quintal of production. Actually, this is the practical. In case of mustard, that mustard in the R field, it is giving us 20-25 quintal production per hectare. Now simply say, if the production of the wheat is 50 quintal, if the production of mustard is 25 quintal. Now this one is in the sole stand. When mustard is growing alone and wheat has grown alone, so wheat has 50 quintal of production, mustard has 25 quintal of production. When I have grown these two crops together in the form of intercrop, now instead of 50, wheat has given me 40 quintal production. Instead of 25, mustard has given me 15 quintal production. The production of both crop has been reduced. But make sure, at that time it was individual. Now it is not in the single stand, it's intercropping. So before I say is it beneficial or harmful, so I should calculate the LER. Now please listen carefully how we can calculate the LER. It says yield of intercrop. Now these are the yield of intercrop. So 40 quintal is the yield of intercrop divided by 50, which was the yield of the pure stand or sole crop. Mustard. In case of mustard, yield of mustard intercrop is 15 quintal and the yield of sole crop was 25 quintal. Now only simple calculation is there. If you'll go by 40 by 50, so let's divide 40 by 50. So how we can do this? So this is 40, this one is 50, point has been added. After point, this will become 400. So it will go by 0.8. So it will become 400. So 40 by 50 means 0.8. Now 15 by 25, so here it is 25, here it is 15.150, so it will go up to 115.6, so this will come as 0.6. So 0.6 and 0.4 will become 1.4. It is coming more than 1. If LER is more than 1, it is profitable. If it is more than 1, it is profitable. If it is 1, no profit, no loss. If it is less than 1, it will have loss. So now if you are clear about the concept, so simply say, now this is an assignment for you and I need your answer in the comment section. Tell me if the production of the single stand was 50 and 25. In case of wheat, I had 30 quintal of production, and in case of mustard, I had 20 quintal production in intercrop. Now calculate the LER and tell me in the comment section. So suppose if you are going to write LER 1.1, so then comma and tell me is it profitable, harmful, or no loss or no profit. So calculate if the production of the sole crop was 50 quintal in wheat and 25 in mustard. In intercrop, wheat has given me 30 quintal production and mustard has given me 20 quintal production. So tell me what will be the LER for this example, and along with the answer tell me what will be the impact of this LER. It will be profitable, loss, or no profit, no loss. That's it, over. I have already told you about the sequential cropping, double, triple, and I already explained you about the fallow or fallowing. Now in the next session, I'll be discussing about the type of cropping, like what is sole crop, synergistic crop, nurse crop, augmenting crop, erosion permitting crop, erosion restricting crop, energy crop, clearing crop. All those kind of crop will be discussed in the next session. If you are facing any kind of doubt, write in the comment section. I will simply explain the same doubt in the next session. And if you think that my work is worth, so please give me a like button. Please press a like button and share this video with your friends so that I can give the maximum benefit to all the students who are from English medium. Now I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye bye. Have a great time. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.